We are very happy with the grant, the non-diluting grant, and we continue, and we have several applications that look very promising for bringing new grants. So hope to bring you news of successful grant research very soon.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Dr. Eric Lauer. He's the CEO of Genflow Biosciences. Eric, very good to speak with you. You're obviously your first half results for the 2024 financial year, and you say that you made significant progress in your primary longevity programs. Tell us more about the highlights of the 6 months.
Okay. First, we are once again very happy to publish our financial report without any ongoing concern, which is rare for biotechs, unfortunately. This is a result of our financial strategy. We're quite happy with that. It's financial strategy on 3 pillars: focus on the R&D and maximize the amount of money spent on R&D, limit the G&A, go to IPO quite early. That allows us to raise money at low cost and on a non-disruptive manner. And most importantly, to rely a lot on non-diluting grants. As you said, that allows us to move a relatively big pipeline for a young company like us. We have 5 programs, and the last 6 months we moved with those 5 programs significantly to create more value within the company. First one, MASH, previously called NASH, the liver program, the complication of the fatty liver. We are moving quite well with this program, preparing for the future clinical trial, the phase 1/2 that we discussed with the health authorities. We are now ready to start the GMP production. You know that we need to do 3 batches of product. It has to be consistent. We selected now our CDMO. Quite happy with the selection. We did we had 2 potential manufacturers, and we asked them to do some feasibility study and to see the yield we can expect, which is very important because we'll have a major impact on the cost, the future cost of the product. And we want to have a gene therapy that was not crazy expensive. So we are very satisfied not only with the choice of this CDMO, but with the yield we can expect at high level. We moved also with Werner syndrome. Werner is a rare disease of accelerated aging. What was important for us is to demonstrate efficacy on Werner. And to do that, we have either to rely on animal models that are not very reliable, and to mitigate that risk, we developed something very attractive, I guess, for people who are listening to us. It's building organoids. Those are synthetic organs. So instead of testing in an animal, and reproducing as well as we can the disease in an animal model, we use human cells to build synthetic organs where we can test our drug. And we are now testing our drug with organoids based on cells from Werner patients. So that would be very specific and very reliable and very indicative of our future success or failure of our clinical trial. So that gives us a very strong argument to move fast on clinical trial on Werner, and we expect to have some interesting interaction with the agencies. We also move with a dog study. The dog study is quite attractive. It's something we want to outsource to the vet industry, but once we've done proof of concept, not to leave money on the table. It was quite challenging to find a CRO that will be able to perform a study on 8 dogs. And we found one. We are finalizing. There's now a lot of paperwork with ethical issues doing research on dogs. But it's a study that will help us to extend the lifespan and the health span of dogs, so the welfare of our pets. We also moving quite well on sarcopenia. the indication with the muscle loss with our partner Revatis. And finally, also we're moving quite well with the exosome loaded sirtuin-6 program. And we're quite happy with the progression of those both programs, sarcopenia and exosome, that are a little bit later in earlier in development than the other ones.
Eric, you mentioned financials at the beginning of the interview, and you were very successful over the period in raising grant funding, so from the local government, and you also raised 715,000 in additional funding over the period. So how does your cash runway look as you take these projects forward?
Yes, grants, extremely important. It's non-diluting, very attractive for the investors, of course. We continue. I will have forward-looking statement. Other grants, we're applying to other grants, and we'll have other grants to announce. So we continue this strategy. We're quite happy with it. We raised a little bit of money. It was to correct one of our weakness. We did our IPO during the COVID period. Therefore, we didn't have institutional that allow us to bring some institutional and some top tier UK institutional. That was very important, just in terms of image vis-a-vis the US, where it was important as a UK company to have in our cap table some kind of serious institutional investors. So that was, we raised a little bit money, but we are very happy with the grant, the non-diluting grant, and we continue, and we have several applications that look very promising for bringing new grants. So hope to bring you news of successful grant research very soon.
Eric, just looking ahead, what are some of the milestones in the second half of the year this investor should be looking out for?
The most important milestone, unfortunately, is the CMC, the manufacturing of the clinical lot under good manufacturing practice, GMP. That's not very sexy. It takes time because you need to do 3 batches and you have to prove consistency within the 3 batches. It's long, it's not super sexy and attractive, but it has to be done. It's costly. We took all the precautions. We didn't take any shortcut to go there. We did a feasibility study with Exoterra, our CDMO. We are quite happy with the yield. So there's no major surprise to find there. The next important milestone will be the discussion we will have with the authorities regarding the Werner syndrome and to what extent they accept our approach to rely on organoids based on human cells or Werner rather than animal models. The discussion is the agency can say, very well, your organoids is cutting-edge science, but we used to have animal models. If not reliable, we want you to do animals. That will be a bad outcome, but or they accept our approach using more this organoid than animals. That's also an important. The dog study, there's a lot of paperwork to be done. Ethical committees will start within 3 months. The study will be conducted in 6 months. Will give us 2 months to do the 2 months to do the analysis, and so it's out of the scope of the 6 months you already mentioned. And sarcopenia, exosome, those 2 projects are moving exactly like at the Gantt plan, so we're fine. Again, the key milestones for the investors is the MASH and being ready to have a clinical study, and the pre-IND meeting with the FDA just to fine-tune the decision, what will be the clinical trial, the little details and everything in the details, and the discussion against regarding the use of organoids in Werner.
Eric, I hope you'll keep us posted on any progress you make on those. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Thank you very much for your interest and support with Genflow Bioscience. Bye, Steve.
Welcome. That's Dr. Eric Lauer. He's the CEO of Genflow Biosciences.